So, last episode we got to Temsek Park and saved the Leaflet Boy and had a helping hand, or rather helping paw, along the way. And towards the end of the episode, he let on that he knew something interesting, to say the least. So let's find out what he knows. Here in this park, the gods surely control fate. Today, 10 years from that day, we meet once again. If that isn't the powers of the gods, then what is it? It could just be coincidence. But apparently you know our lady detective here. Could you tell us about it? About what happened 10 years ago? Yes, of course. I was actually just about to do that. Okay, let's learn about Mino, the apparent Rock of the Gods. What's this Rock of the Gods you keep mentioning? Don't you know? It's right there in front of us. Missile. Wait a minute. You say gods, but do you mean dogs? Of course not. Don't be silly. This is no time for ridiculous word games. You're standing just above the Rock of the Gods now. Take a good look at the monument. Monument? Rock of the Gods, Temsek Park. The Rock of the Gods. The rock is buried in the ground right there. It's been there these 10 years. Ever since that day, it flew down from the heavens and showed us a miracle. A miracle? So this rock you've been talking about, is it a meteorite? Precisely. It dropped from the sky on that day 10 years ago. Yes, of course. Sure you know all about it. Me? That day I just happened to be passing through this park. I know that day would change my destiny. The sun was going down, and through the gloom, I heard the scream of a little girl. This is the third time we've seen this dialogue, so I think I might just skip it. Of course, read the new dialogue. I peeked out fearfully from the bushes and saw some shadowy figures. I didn't see the face of the criminal clearly. I know I should do something to help, but I couldn't move. The tension was so thick, it was painful, just when I couldn't stand it any longer. That's when it happened. The sky suddenly burned bluish white. When it crashed into the ground, the meteorite gave off a shower of beautiful fragments. And then I saw it. One of those beautiful fragments pierced into the criminal's back. The judgment of the gods was brought down on the park that day. "10 years ago, the little girl that was you was saved by the Rock of the Gods." Oh my, I can't believe it. The Rock of the Gods was given the name Temsek, and still today, it lies sleeping deep in the park's earth. I never knew about this Temsesk. I always thought Detective Jad was the one who saved me. You were very young then, and you passed out from the shock of being taken hostage. Of course you wouldn't remember. But that's funny. A huge incident like that should have caused quite a stir. Strange you never heard of it, Lynn. It is, isn't it? But now that I think about it, I remember I didn't want to think about what happened. I avoided the news and I never came back to this park again. That's why I didn't know anything about it. The meteorite was named Temzek after the name of this park that it fell in. And then the Rock of the Gods was forgotten. Now an awful thing is happening. They're talking about turning the park into a housing site. I'll never forget the miracle I witnessed that day. And so I've taken up residence in this park, and I'm trying to appeal to the people. Protect the park, the Rock of the Gods, that is my mission. I see. I'm taking you with me. Yeah, with me, Missile. So 10 years ago, that little girl that was Lynn wasn't aware of the meteorite. I get that, but Jowd, on the other hand, there's no way he didn't know about this Temzek thing. And if he knew, and the man died, I took his life. What was that confession of his all about? You found the musical box, Detective Jowd. Good job, Lynn. I knew you would. Once everything has been resolved, I wanted you to give this to him. Him? You mean Inspector Camnillo, right? I don't suppose he'll ever forgive me. Detective Jowd. Now then, let's get this thing open. There's a certain knack to doing it, you know? See? He calls that a knack. It looks more like brute strength to me. You are? You should find scorch marks on the grip. Scorch marks? When Camilla built her contraption, she used a special kind of string. It's kind magicians use. It burns up in an instant and disappears. Why would little Camilla use something like that? I don't know, maybe because she was a detective's daughter. Not leaving any evidence behind and all that, In the case report, there was mention of some scorch marks. When it happened, Camilla was watching from a hiding place. She saw the flame run to the gun, something she naturally didn't include in the design. I took the gun out of the frame and replaced it with a picture. If you remove the picture, you should find scorch marks behind it on the frame too. And these marks should match up with the ones on the gun. In other words, it proves the contraption existed there in that room that day. And it didn't work the way your little girl intended, is that right? Exactly, some cowardly culprit modified the design. But that angle was never brought up in court. And so is Justice Minister. I must call off the execution at this point. I knew I was right. It wasn't Detective Jowd, now we can finally prove that. Thank goodness. Thank you, Lynn. In those eyes of yours, I see the eyes of that little girl from 10 years ago. Well, I guess, we want to talk to, Jowd, so, let's not talk to Jowd and instead talk to the Minister. What's the matter? I just don't know. What should I have done 5 years ago? Back then, Nobody had any way of knowing the true nature of the manipulator. It wasn't anybody's fault that we didn't know the truth. Do you really think so? Of course, besides, what's important right now is deciding what to do next, am I right? She's right, Mr. Minister. Yes, of course. I do believe she is. What is it now? Just don't know. What should I do next? You'll figure it out. We believe in you. Can we get to Lynn? No, okay. Looks like we have to talk to Gerald. Cecil, if it hadn't come to myself tonight, I would be gone by now without ever having known any of this. This is what I deserve. That's what I told myself these past 5 years. But things are different now. Thanks to you, my eyes have been finally opened. Tonight, I've come into contact with a lot of people's lives and got involved in their fates. And the only reason I was doing it was to regain my own lost memory. But things are different now. We are connected to each other somehow, I just know it. And that's why I need to ask you a few more questions, in order to find the truth about us. Yeah, fair enough, fire away. Hopefully there's not many instances of the word manipulator in the title manipulator. Sis told me all about it, Detective Gerald. About the manipulator. Yes, and it looks like this manipulator really did a number on the Minister too. Please don't pick on the Minister. If he dies again, I am the one who has to save him. Sis, do you think that's what happened to me too? What are you talking about, Lynn? Don't tell me. You were manipulated too? There's always a part of me that just couldn't believe it. The part of the image of me, the image of the one who shot me. But now I see the possibility of a new explanation. But who was it, and why did they do it? That contraption was a birthday surprise for Camilla's mother, wasn't it? That's right. Something's been bothering me about it. I feel like I know that device from somewhere. No surprise there. You lost your life once tonight because of that machine. I don't know it. See, Detective Gerald? No, I'm afraid I don't see. I told Detective Gerald about it. Told him about seeing the exact same contraption tonight in a completely different place. That's very strange indeed. A junkyard on the edge of town? I've never even heard of the place. What's more, I've never told a single soul about that contraption. You haven't? That old Benjamin guy. Who in the world is he? Detective Gerald, you must have heard this name before. Temzesk. The meteorite that fell in the park 10 years ago, you were there. So you found out about that, didn't you? I heard that the meteorite saved that little Lynn's life. That's right. I couldn't do anything to help Lynn that day. But in that case, I don't get it. If that's true, doesn't it mean you didn't steal someone's life away? What are you talking about? Detective Gerald, you told me that 10 years ago, the person who killed the perpetrator in the park was you. What is the meteorite? I wasn't lying. I stole that man's life away, no question about it. It was entirely my fault. I was just about to shoot him. I would have shot him in the next instant if the meteorite hadn't come. At that point, I was already a murderer. That's not true. You were trying to save me. Lynn, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's really it. Huh? On that day, 10 years ago, a different incident happened in another place. Another place? Yes, in the police headquarters interrogation room. The worst sort of incident. A suspect who was being questioned escaped. Well, I didn't know about that. I happened to be there in the detective division, so I joined the chase. Fortunately, or I guess unfortunately, I was able to track him down alone in the park. I fired a warning shot. I wanted to catch him bad. That warning shot made him panic. At the time, I was young and green. I was a young and green detective, brandishing my sense of justice like a sword. I made him panic and got you involved, Lynn. It was all my fault. Detective Gerald? All I could see was my target. I couldn't even see you. I'm so sorry, Lynn. So the man who grabbed me that day. These last 10 years, I've never forgotten his face. And then a few years after that, when my wife Elma died in such a mysterious way, I thought it was fate, my punishment for what I had done. I painted pictures of myself, nothing but portraits of people with faces. All the faces of the many people I met in my life and didn't want to forget, or wanted to forget. And tonight, I finished my last portrait, the final face I wanted to remember. The final face. The face of the man in the park that day. Wait, just 1 minute. That can't be. I saw the painting. I saw the face you painted tonight. It was my face. Are you telling me I was the one? Oh, I was the man in the park at that time? That's right. The face of yours is the face I saw 10 years ago. The face of the man whose life I stole, of the man who was pronounced dead at the scene. But hold on, Detective Gerald. That can't be true. I just met Caesar for the first time tonight. And you dare run in front of me. By the way, the name of that I know of the man in the park that day by isn't Cecil. What? From the first minute I laid eyes on you tonight, I've been wondering, who in the world is this guy? Mr. Minister. Inspector Cabanilla, where are you? Just be quiet and listen. This is our demand. What? Demand? Our demand hasn't changed. The execution must be tonight. Once we've confirmed it's been carried out, we'll release the hostage. What are you talking about, Inspector Cabanilla? You know it wasn't my daughter who was abducted. Does it really matter who the hostage is? Our life is alive. Even if the daughter is... Even if it's the daughter of a death row prisoner. Once the criminal gets the punishment he deserves, the hostage will go free. Carry out the execution immediately and wait for our call. What is it, Mr. Minister? You look paler than ever. What in the world? What's going on, Inspector Cabanilla? And, even though it looks like we need to go see Cabanilla, it looks like we've reached a good stopping point, because, I I get the feeling he's in trouble, and we might want to save him, so next time we'll go do just that, but until then, that is when I'll see you.